Hi guys, and welcome back to OG Cars, and in today's video you join us with our L-Reg Seat Terra van. Now this van has appeared in a previous video. If you haven't seen it, you should go back and watch it, and I'll stick it in the description below. Basically, we ended up on a collection caper from Scarborough after I sold my Fiat Seicento Michael Schumacher. Ended up accidentally buying a van, which obviously I did intentionally bid, but I didn't expect to win it. Got this, drove it back from Scarborough, and yeah, back down to South Wales. Became my daily for a fair while. Now, I just wanted to do a proper introduction to this because our video on that was basically just the collection caper. Now, I want to show you around this van properly, so let's do that in this one. So last video we did obviously talk about various things about this van, but G is here now and she can actually film me while we look at this vehicle, but she didn't join me for that collection caper. Don't blame her, it was quite a long one, especially with no radio in this. It's quite loud. We'll get to that. But basically, this is a Seat Terra. You wouldn't think it. It's got a Fiat Panda front grille. Not only that, it also has Fiat Panda Mark II or Gen 1 Mark II headlights, bumper and bonnet. This is because it has the full front end conversion as done by Limited Editions Unlimited. So Limited Editions Unlimited was run by Vernon Hibbard. He's sort of closed up and he's doing his own stuff now. If nobody's seen his Panda Den stuff, then it's quite incredible. Go on the Late Break show and have a look at some of his collection. Some really cool stuff. And yeah, I'm very lucky to have seen a lot of Vernon's car and actually done work experience with him a fair few years ago. But yeah, basically this was his van. Logan was, as he's affectionately named, as per his L-Reg GAN plate. And basically he had this for a while, but he's got various other Seat Terras as well. He's got a very cool grey and white one, which I think again appears in that video. And basically he decided to sell this one to Jacobs Arnold at Scarborough Motorworks, and he did a fair bit of work to it semi-recently to get it all back on the road. Now Vernon did do various bits on it in his ownership, but that was like, I think he had it roughly 10 years ago, and he had it for a fair few years, but didn't use it for the later few years, I believe. So basically Jacob had it, recommissioned it, got it on the road, then he got another Seat Terra as well, so he decided to put this one up for sale. Ended up taking a loss on it when I won it on eBay, and here it is. So if you're wondering what all the Italian 90 stuff is about, not only do we have this lovely register sticker that John Corbett got me from the Italian 90 Club, we've got these lovely pinstripes and the Ciao stickers. Basically, we decided to do something for a bit of a laugh. Now, as you guys may or may not know, I do have an Italian 90. It's not featured for a while because it's basically stuffed. I will fix it one day, but I had some spare wheel trims, and for Fiat and friends, we thought, you know what will be a laugh? We will put the wheel trims and some stripes on this because it was around the time of the Euros. I literally finished it on the day of the Euros final, and then we lost. And then I took it to Fiat Friends, and it was yeah, breaking down on me. So that's great. We'll go into that towards the end and what I've had to do to repair this van in the meantime. But yeah, let's look at this van's next party trick. See if I make this look easy. But yeah, this is the first party trick. We've got obviously these opening doors that reveal something slightly different. It does that. Right. It's meant to clip in like that. It normally stays. Here's the party trick. You can use this as a wheelchair access vehicle. This is what it was originally made for, and you can actually see on the rear door, Go Rings did the conversion on this. So basically, they just put a big block in the middle and beefed up the rear leaf springs a little bit with a couple of extra bits, and hey presto, you've got the perfect wheelchair access vehicle with the seat belts on the side. So there's plenty of room in here. Admittedly, you can't stand because this isn't the Danbury conversion that has the pop top. This was originally a wheelchair access van, so this is what it is. But you could do a camper conversion in here. You could use it commercial. Admittedly, a lot of them were commercial vans, just panel sided. Obviously, this has the windows because it was a wheelchair access van. But ultimately, I haven't been using it for that. I've been using it to like carry random car panels back from heads up to here. And yeah, it's quite handy, but admittedly I don't really need something this big for my work. It's semi-handy, but the boss has a full transit, so it doesn't really cut it for that. He did initially think it would be a funny idea to sticker it up with like all of our company logos and everything, but yeah, it didn't really come to fruition. So whether we wheelchair access convert it, probably not, because admittedly I will probably look to sell this. And by the time you watch this, it may already be sold. I'll let you know in the description below. But basically, I have the Citroen C1 as a daily now, and when this broke, I decided I just had to have something there and then. So that's why I got that. In the back here, you've just got the spare wheel. Other than that, it's literally just the ramp and the seat belts. There's nothing else in here. Okay, so party trick number 2 is that this has a diesel engine in it. Now this is a 1.4 diesel, which is I think a slightly uprated version of the 1.3 diesel that they did. But yeah, it says Seat on it, it's actually a Volkswagen diesel ultimately. I think this was fundamentally a Volkswagen petrol engine as well, but just converted to diesel. So you've got the diesel pump back here, it's still the cam belt design, which I ended up having to change all of that stuff anyway. We'll get to that in a moment. But yeah, there it is. It's a loud, noisy and fairly slow but economical diesel engine. So being the Seat Terra, it's fundamentally based on the Seat Marbella and the Fiat Panda Mark 1. Now admittedly the Marbella and the Terra therefore got like the rear leaf springs and the pushrod engine. Obviously this one's got the diesel one, which makes it a little bit different, but you still get this basic interior as well. Normally I think you'd get a 4-speed petrol. Don't quote me on that, I'm not sure, I've not had a petrol Terra, but this is the Volkswagen 5-speed in this one, which has reverse to the side and up, which is a little bit different. But yeah, you get these basic style seats but with headrests, and they go right back and you can actually pull them all the way out and put them next to the car, which is quite fun as well. It's the standard Mark 1 Panda style dash, but with like the Seat horn push and stuff like that. It's fairly basic in here, there's no radio, and being so loud, that engine, I mean, coming back from Scarborough, I think I might have tinnitus still from that now. Okay, so basically we're now going to cast your mind back a couple of weeks, because it wasn't all plain sailing with this van. We did have a couple of problems with the alternator belt, the timing belt. Ultimately it was down to a water pump leak as well. So let's go back and see what I had to do to fix this van. Right, so you join me in the engine bay, and this is all nice and shiny. I did actually paint this because I had it off to sort the leak from the rocker cover gasket, and that's actually fine. There's no leak anymore, because as you can see, there's a slightly darker patch on the right hand side where it used to leak down here, but it's all sort of burnt off now because it's no longer leaking, which is ideal. It did start to drip on the floor, which is why I thought I would actually look at that weep, which had turned into a drip. So yeah, at least that's sorted. I've done a full service on it as well, so I've done an air filter, I've done this massive oil filter. It's the biggest oil filter I've ever seen on a car slash van. It's absolutely huge. And yeah, obviously I've changed the oil as well. The diesel pump and the glow plug on the left hand side at least was replaced in Jacob's ownership, so that's all fine. And yeah, I don't know how much coolant's going to be left. It's a very strange issue. It seems to fix itself around a minute. Yeah, it's full now, so I topped it up at work, and now it's still full, and it's not actually leaking now, but I guarantee as it cools down it'll start leaking again. While I was at Fiat and Friends, I did have the timing cover off and I could see that it was very wet inside and it was leaking from the driver's side underneath here. So let's get the air intake off, get this cover off, and we'll have better access. You'll have to excuse me as I'm working outside, and yeah, I can't really be bothered to try and rearrange it into the garage at this time. And to be fair, there's probably not enough people left in the world who ever Seat Terra slash Trans diesel that want to see how to do stuff like this. If you do, drop a comment and maybe we'll do a proper guide on how to do certain things like this in future. We will start doing certain videos like this on like Fiat Panda 169, because obviously a lot of people have them, stuff like that. But yeah, basically we're just going to take that air intake pipe off there on the other end, and we're just going to remove the 10mm that holds on the bush at the front of the air filter housing, and then there's one other pipe which is literally just a push fit on there. So that'll get the air filter off, which will give us a little bit more room. There we are. As simple as that. It's got a new filter in there, so I'm not worried about that at all. There's literally 3 clips on here, which, to be fair, I managed to get this off without taking the air filter off anyway. But I figured it would give me more access to actually get sort of like the water pump out and stuff if I take this off. The air intake off. There we are, get that clip off there, and then yeah, you can actually see how wet it is in here. It's a little bit of a jiggle, and I'm not going to be able to do it on camera now, am I? I've only got one hand, and yeah, it's decided to get stuck on the water pump now. I managed to get this out with the air intake on at Fiat and Friends, and now I can't get it off at all. I guarantee as soon as I stop recording, I'll get it out. No, there we are. Yeah, it looks quite dry now actually. But yeah, Fiat and Friends, this was completely soaked inside with coolant, which I assume has been spinning around in there from the water pump. But yeah, you can see sort of residue of coolant there, so I definitely think that's the issue. And to be fair, it doesn't look like too bad a change, so hopefully I'm not saying too much there. But yeah, what we're going to need to do now is jack up the driver's side, get an axle stand under there. There's a little cover off here which needs to come off behind the wheel, so we'll take the wheel off as well, and yeah, we'll get that cover off and see what we can see behind there. Yeah, we'll go from there. So I've jacked it up from just under there and stuck it on these 2 mounting points. We've got the front jacking point, which isn't very good, which is why I've got it under the front of the section there as well. And I just need to check, I think this is a 17mm, and what I'm going to do is stick this on. I think he says our Ryobi, which I don't know if you've seen much of, but has been doing me quite a good favour. So yeah, we'll just go gun the wheel off and we look at that cover behind then. I forgot to mention as well, I had a really bad brake squeal, especially from the other side. So what I've done is I've cleaned up the pads, and the discs look like they've got a fair amount of life left in them. So what I did is I took everything apart, cleaned it all up, copper greased the ends of the pads, made sure they weren't tight in there, adjusted these clips slightly, put it all back together, and yeah, she's been much better, to be fair, so I'm very happy with that. But yeah, I just need to get this cover off now just so I can get towards the crank pulley. Obviously I'm going to have to loosen off that lovely new alternator belt I put off there by loosening the alternator. Take that off, and then I'm going to have to get the pulley off and see what we've got behind it there. So I loosened off the alternator, got the belt off, got the crank pulley off, but unfortunately couldn't get it all the way off without undoing the engine mount and dropping it down on a jack slightly. So that's where it is at the moment. I've got the crank pulley off. Now it looks like these timing covers need to come off behind, because the 3 bolts holding on the water pump look like the water pump is then behind this cover, which is really annoying, super annoying. So what I'm going to do now is time it up. Well, that's how I already have. I've got the cam time there, and I've got the crank time down there. And what I'm going to do now is take the plastic covers and the belt off, see if I can get that water pump off, and see if that's where our leak's coming from. Okay, so now that I've got the cam pulley off, basically the rear cover comes off, just a load of 10mm bolts, and this is part of those 10mm bolt sections. I actually really quite dislike this particular setup. The Fire Series and stuff like that is so much easier to work on, and the cam pulley was really stubborn. So yeah, but yeah, managed to get it off, managed to get the covers off with the water pump out. So you can peruse what we have down here. We've got the pulley off down there. There's the rear cover covered in coolant, to be fair, so that needs a good clean. And then we've got this cover which goes over the front of the pulley like that, and you've got the 3 bolt holes there, and that just holds us in. There's something distinctly missing here, and that's some of the fins. So obviously that's not going to be performing quite as well as it certainly could be. And when I say some of the fins, I mean everything has basically fallen off. If I don't know if you can hear it, but it certainly shouldn't be making that kind of screeching sound, so it shouldn't be shaking like that. Yeah, it's all kind of broken. So yeah, new water pump and new belt definitely on the cards. Let's get those on order. Okay, so we're losing the light now, so I really should wrap this up, but I just want to thank you guys for watching the video, and also want to thank Logan the van for mostly, well, I mean, he has transported me everywhere without problems. Even when the alternator broke, it still got me home, and I managed to put a new belt on and the battery was fine. Even when the water pump was leaking, I topped it up and it still got home. So I can't say that he put a foot wrong. I mean, he did, but he still got me wherever I needed to go. He didn't leave me stranded anywhere. So big thanks to Logan. I have enjoyed my time with this van. Admittedly, it is going, or at least it should be going by the time this video is going up. But yeah, as I say, it's been a good one, and it's another one of those tick box check. I have experienced this one. So thanks very much for watching this video, guys. Like, comment and subscribe. We'll see you all in the next one.